Hey guys, welcome to Canadian Gears. We are at Trev Deeley Motorcycles in Vancouver, British Columbia. We're going to visit the old motorcycle exhibition where we're going to talk with a historian about some of the old bikes they have on display and some of Trev's bikes as well. We're also going to visit the dealership and try to get some inside views on what goes on here with customizing motorcycles and all the Harley stuff that goes on, so stay tuned. Hey guys, welcome back to Canadian Gears. We are now going to do a small portion here where we're going to walk through the Trev Deeley exhibition where they have a lot of the motorcycles here and a lot of the old paraphernalia from the old Harley stores, Japanese bikes, British bikes, German bikes, you name it, they got it all in there. So follow me, we'll do a quick walkthrough in here. This here is the entrance to the museum. You'll see that they have a lot of stuff going on here. Down here is a time capsule that they created in 1996. I'm unsure of what's in there. We'll find out whenever they decide to open it. But if you look around, we got some old bikes. We have Trev Deeley Jr.'s bicycle that was built by his dad. So that would be Trev Deeley's grandfather that built this for him. And you'll see some pictures here of the Deeley family and the old dealership back when. This is just part of the things that you're going to see at this dealership. Some of the old bikes over here, Trev Deeley's bikes that are customized Sportsters. But this is the entrance to the museum. As you can see, there's quite a few bikes out here. A lot of the themes that are going on right now are movie bikes, bikes that have been used in movies and such. We've got the old Daimler that we're going to discuss with the historian once we get an interview going in here. We've got some old CCM motorcycles, which is very rare, only a few in existence, and a couple of them are here in BC from what we understand. Another bike of significant is over here, is the Indian Warrior. Now, from what I remember is Indian was trying to compete with Triumph and BSA with the vertical twins. So they came out with these and are trying to get into the British market as well in America. It didn't go out, so very well. We got some German bikes back here. We got a Hildebrand Wolf Mueller, very, very unique bike. We'll be discussing these later on. Got some old bikes sitting over here. Over here is another bike of significance. We have a 1922 Henderson Deluxe. It was made by Excelsior Motor Manufacturing, a 4-cylinder engine. If you look over here, you'll see how you got the carburetor over here, intake, exhaust coming down, 4 cylinders as we see today on these inline 4s and Japanese bikes, except this was placed perpendicular to the frame. Very different from what we see nowadays. Movie bikes. 1928 Harley-Davidson GD used in the movie The Marx Brothers. This was at the time of the Depression. They were using bikes like this. We got some old Harleys over here. A 1926 Harley, 1920 Harley, 1936 EL. The EL is the first model that came out with what we call the knucklehead engine. As you will see here, these engines have the knucklehead presentations. This was after the flatheads. So this was the first overhead valve engine that they had. We got the Harley-Davidson Cervicar. How cool is that? You don't see many of these bikes around. We got a sidecar over here with another Harley-Davidson. We move on over here. A lot of bikes of significance. Over here, we have a 1929 Bruff Superior. These bikes were an outstanding motorcycle in their day. Very fast, very well built, very well designed. If you look in the side of the tank, you got these rubber mountings. This was for your legs. So your legs would actually cradle the gas tank. It just shows you the significance and quality back then and how they did a dry clutch. So it was kind of like the old Harley style bikes, but it's much, much different. Over here, 1968 Honda CB77. And of course, who do we have in the picture that rode one of these? Well, for all you Elvis fans, there you go. Elvis rode one of these bikes. Moving right along. A BMW war bike with a sidecar. Old British engineering, as you can see here how they were built back then. Very well built, very rugged bikes. We move on over here, we've got a Triumph. So it's a TR6 SS from 1963. Look at this thing, in immaculate condition. Very well maintained. You don't see many of these bikes around anymore, okay? We're gonna move over here. We got a BSA, an old Harley-Davidson, another Harley over there, Honda 350 4-cylinder. You don't see that anymore. You scoot over here. Another bike of significance is a 1972 Harley XR 750 overhead valve. Very nice, okay? These were used as stunt bikes, dirt bikes. They were using them for all sorts of things like that. It was used in the film The Great Escape and on another film called On Any Sunday. We have over here one of my favorite bikes, the old style Indians. I love these guys. They're an absolute beautiful bike. If you look at the fender work over here, you've got, you know, the beautiful fenders. You got the Indian head. You don't see that anymore. It's so cool. Now, I know we brought them back. Polaris owns them. They're back. But this is still the original Indian. Now, this here for me is like a holy grail. If you've ever seen the movie The World's Fastest Indian, this is the model that he used. This is the actual model bike that Burt Munro actually used to convert to his world record breaking motorcycle that he rode, a 1920 Indian Scout. They have one here. It's incredible what they have in here. Let's move on. Harley-Davidson single cylinder 1912 with a leather drive belt. How cool is that? Leather rocks, we all know that. Moving right along, we got an old BSA Army bike over here. These old British bikes are just awesome. Incredible what we find. Again, look at this museum. It's like my holy grail. We've got a 55 125 over here, 1977 Harley single cylinder 2-stroke. Very rare bikes. These are things you won't find elsewhere. We've got a 2007 MV August on F4. This is a nice speed bike, okay? You look at a lot of the body lines and how they have the body lines here, the tank, how everything was designed. Very well designed bike, very fast. Very expensive, very fast. Okay? We're gonna move on over here. One bike of significance is this guy right here. 1980 Honda CBX 1000 6-cylinder engine. Look at that engine. Get a nice shot under there and show the viewers what we got. Look at that thing. Beautiful 6-cylinder bike. Just another example of what they have. Now, another bike is this beauty right here. The Captain America bike. Okay? We all know this. We all know this from Easy Rider, the movie. Everybody knows. This is a replica, of course, but it is an exact authenticated replica of the bike. And this is just some bikes you have in the museum. Another bike of significance is a 77 Harley-Davidson. This was when, at the time when Harley-Davidson was owned by AMF, which is American Machine and Foundry. This was a direct competition to some of the Japanese bikes that were out there when they made the cafe racer style, using a Sportster engine, Sportster frame. It didn't do so well, so they kind of abandoned that. And if we look around, we've got a lot of other bikes, and hey guys, welcome to the Gearhead portion of our show. Today we're going to be looking at this custom Sportster here that a client of mine bought here and wanted us to have a look over. We'll go through a little bit of the bike with you, give you some tips and tricks. The number one thing we want to do first is when you're working on bikes like this, you want to make sure you have no jewelry on you. So you want to remove your rings and watches and bracelets, anything like that. You don't want them getting caught somewhere or scratching something or causing any sort of damage, okay? You want to make sure about that. So here we have this custom bike that was purchased. The client didn't know a whole lot about it. We know that it was fairly well built. The frame is very solid. We had to identify the engine. We know it's a Sportster, but they didn't know what size it was, the year and everything. So we had to go around and do some identification and also look around the bike because there are some oil leaks, there are some electrical problems, and they want that looked at. So the number one thing we're going to do is step over here. We want to identify the year of the engine. One of the big indicators was we found that it has right over here the 100th anniversary badge from Harley. So that alone tells us that the bike is late 02 to 03. Because this is when Harley-Davidson was celebrating their 100th anniversary in 2003. I also looked at the part numbers on the heads, and we've identified them as a 16662 and a 16663, which identifies these heads as being a head off an 883. Now that being said, it doesn't mean that the engine doesn't have a big bore kit and it hasn't been bored out to 1200. The only way to find that out is to open up this engine, which we're really not going to do. Okay? So we got here a sticky throttle that's not returning all the way. So what we're going to do is we're going to remove the throttle casings over here, get inside, look at what's jamming it up. Probably just needs a little bit of lubrication. Check out the cable as well. Make sure that it's moving freely. Make sure the linkage at the carburetor is also moving freely, stuff like that. We have a push rod leak over here in the front. The push rod casing on the front cylinder is leaking, indicating that the seal on the bottom is gone. So for that, we have to remove the valve cover, get inside, remove the rocker, remove the push rod, so we can get the push rod cover out, put a new seal and a new O-ring on top, put it all back together. There's a leak on the other side as well, where we have the shifter and the seal that goes into the primary case over here. That seal is leaking, so we have to replace that. This means we must remove the entire primary case, which also means replacing the gasket, which is something you do along the way. You're changing the oil. It also gives us a look at the clutch and anything else that's in there at the same time. Now we have some oil leaking on the bottom over here, which we suspect is coming from the push rod. So what we'll do is we'll clean up the oil first, make sure there's no other oil leaks, and we'll go from there. There are a few electrical problems with the bike where it just needs to be tweaked and looked at, but we will identify those and we'll go along. So what we'll do for now is we will make an inventory of what's going on. We'll talk to the client, see what the client wants to do, and then we'll go from there. And we'll see you after. Hey guys, we're back at Trev Deeley. Now we're behind the scenes over here right now. What this is the storage area for all their rental fleet and some of the bikes that are, in storage. We also have behind us some of the other bikes owned by Trev Deeley that are museum pieces that are not being displayed. So have a look around, and then we're going to move on to the shop side of things.
Blah 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 blah.
Hey guys, welcome back to Canadian Gears. In this episode, we're going to talk with Darren over here. Darren is a former biker motorcyclist who was involved in an accident while he was drinking and driving. So I thought it was nice that we send a message out there to everybody on the importance of drinking and driving and how dangerous it can be. Darren, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate your time on this.
No problem.
Can you tell us a little bit of what happened the night of your accident?
The night of my accident, because I have brain damage, really bad. But what I heard was before I went out, I drank a lot of alcohol, jumped on my bike, was going to Surrey to a dance club. And on 200th Street, a light went, my friend was in front of me in his truck. And a light went yellow, then went green. He made the yellow. He said, no, you slowed down, you stopped. Then all of a sudden he said that I passed him after he went through the green and everything, like he was sitting still. Mm. He was doing 100K, he said. It was probably an 80 kilometer an hour on 200th Street. He said I was doing about 220K.
Wow.
That's fast.
And that's when you impacted another car. So you
rear-ended
another car.
I rear-ended another car going that fast. I think what happened was the car came in out of the slow lane into my fast lane and bang, clipped them.
Okay. Guys, just to give you an example here, we have here a picture of Darren's V-Rod before the accident. And we have some images here of the bike after the accident. Now, we also have some pictures here of the vehicle that he impacted at the accident. Now, there's quite a bit of damage in there. Now, this was 10 years ago, so you're trying to remember as much as you can because you had memory loss, right?
It was 9 years ago.
9 years ago.
Yeah.
So the occupants of the other car were okay. They came out of this with minor
stitches,
stitches and stuff, so they were fine after.
Yeah.
Thank goodness for that.
Mm-hmm.
Now you went into you had, obviously you were mentioning you were on life support for a while.
8 weeks.
8 weeks of life support, and you've had brain damage.
Yes.
Can you tell me now what kind of repercussions you're having from all that brain damage? What's your lifestyle now?
Terrible.
Really?
I lost 35 years of my life.
Okay.
So trying to remember what girlfriends I had, I couldn't even remember my ex-girlfriend's name when I first came to. I could remember my family's names, my mother, my mother, and my father, and my 2 brothers, and their birthdays for that matter.
Yeah.
But I couldn't remember any of my life. Like I couldn't remember a lot of my life because of all my brain damage. I had 11 fractures to my head.
Wow.
Yes.
That's incredible.
And a lot of them were the front. So my temporal lobes were dead, my doctor said, and everything else. It was very bad.
Wow, that's incredible.
So I'm relearning it, still am. 9 years later, I'm still relearning
a lot of things.
everything. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So when you came out of life support, I guess you had to, you know, relearn to speak and everything. Everything was sort of
Walk,
you know,
talk, speak, everything.
Wow, that's incredible. Now, how do you feel? You know, again, luckily the people you impacted weren't, you know, gravely hurt, and you know, this could have been a whole lot worse, you know, in every way possible, right?
Absolutely.
Nowadays, when you look back at this and you look at all these awful pictures and all that, how do you feel about this? Would you have changed that if you could go back?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I will never ever drink and drive again. My balance is off. I'm partly blind in my left eye. So for that matter, I want to buy a bike. I wanted to 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But because of my brain damage and everything else, I had no feeling. I could not feel hot or cold 3 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I have no smell. I couldn't feel hot or cold outside. Even my neighbor was saying, Dennis, he's like, why do you have your jacket on outside? It's warm. It was in the summer.
Yeah.
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 So, but the bottom line is that I'll never buy a Harley again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though all my friends have them, I'll never buy one again because God gave me a second chance to live when you only have a 5% chance of living.
So
Yeah.
you're never going to touch a bike again, and that's
Nope.
it. You're going to stay on
He
four
gave me a second chance to live. Yeah.
You're very lucky, you know, and so are the people of the other vehicle. I'm, you know, I've always been an advocate of people who don't drink and drive. And I think when I met you, you know, your story impacted me a lot because, you know, it's very graphic and stuff. And I'm seeing the pictures here of the accident, and it's absolutely incredible that you came out of it the way you did, and them as well, luckily. And luckily no one else was injured. This is, you know, we're trying to send a message out there of the importance of not drinking and driving and using taxi services and using everything else. And Darren here is a prime example of what can happen, you know, not just to the person who was drinking and driving, but this, he, you know, turned the tables around. This could have been someone else. This could have been one of the persons in the car who would have lost their life. You know, a life is a life regardless of what it is or who it is. But now you're saying that you're on special medication and, you know,
for the rest of my
cognitive memory and stuff like that. And
yeah, I'm on Exelon, the patch, which is my cognitive memory. I'm on carbamazepine,
okay,
and that keeps me out of my seizures.
So you also have seizures as well.
I have it.
Yeah.
That's because of my medication.
Okay, so you're
But I'm on it. I'm on it for life.
Yeah.
I'm on Zyprexa.
Yeah.
That's my sleeping pill. I can't sleep without a pill. Fall asleep. I have a hard time falling asleep.
Okay.
And the reason being is because I lost 35 years of my life, and I'm trying to remember my past, and I can't.
Yeah.
So now what I do is forget about the past and just focus on what's happening now in the future.
So not only have you lost a lot of the future, you've also completely lost your past. So your life is basically right now, you're living in the now.
That's right.
And you're trying to look, you know, so you've really, and all this from drinking and driving, folks. This is, you know, it's a very serious thing, and I really hope the message is out there. What else can you tell us about how you're feeling now? Like when you recollect and you look at these images, how do you feel about all that?
I feel I'm Catholic, and I'm from Alberta, and I was raised in Catholic schooling. And when you only have a 5% chance of living, being on life support for 7-8 weeks, I think it was 8 weeks or whatever else, even the doctors were amazed I lived. And it's because of the man upstairs. So I pray a lot, and I thank God a lot, and I just look at the pictures, and well, I will never ever do, and please, anybody, never drink and drive. It's not worth it.
No, it really isn't worth it.
Yeah.
Darren, I really thank you for your time. You've been, phenomenal.
Thank you.
So this is our message to everybody out there, whether you're on a bike, on a car, on a site, on a bicycle, it doesn't matter what you're doing. If you're going out to drink, you know what, take a bus, take a taxi, get a friend, get a designated driver. It is very important we get the message out there. This is a prime example of what not to do. So thank you again, Darren. Really appreciate it. Stick around, folks. We'll be right back. We have more coming up on Canadian Gears. Thank you for watching.